quit. Like, I mean, I get it. Like I said, like, I know it sounds like fucking not hypocritical, but like bipolar for me to be like some things should be harder and some things should take longer. But
Yeah, I mean
then,
it's at 2% with a Duskwire. It should absolutely take longer than it is if you were
yeah,
running
but like,
Polaris.
but like then there's other things where I'm like, oh, this is taking too long because I thought, I mean, when we first started playing, this game was a nice middle ground of grind.
Yes. Yeah, well,
It
see,
was a
that's exactly
nice middle
why
ground.
we to a degree. Well, I mean, granted, there's multiple factors actually before I go on to that why we took our break from ESO. But
Yeah.
I mean, we had people out, we had people sick, we had all this. Which, granted, holidays are over. It is time to actually go ahead and reconvene with everybody, see where everybody's head is at on that front. But with that being said, ESO is for the most part pure grind. Like, so
Yeah,
coming to
that's what,
this was in the beginning for quite a while in the beginning, a fun but steady middle ground of grind, but actually able to get something accomplished.
yeah, because like I don't like low grind. Low grind is honestly, it's what's the word? I want to say superfluous, but that's not the right word. It's just kind of boring. That's the better word.
Right.
It's boring when there's low grind and it's like everything comes super easily, but I didn't leave a high grind fucking I didn't leave a high grind world to go and do more high grind.
Right, and that's what they've kind of become is nothing but a high grind game. But here's the other thing that they're doing that I don't really know a lot of games that do or really do successfully is there are games that aren't pure gotcha games, right? So again, you got to take that into consideration. We're talking about well like well-known games that have been around for years, 10 years or more. Um but that so they're very successful and they have a balance between certain quest lines that some quests might be a massive grind if you're actually doing quests or trying to get something, but none of those grinds that are like a gotcha grind, like in some of these cases, even with this one to an extent, um or is required of you to use something that is no longer readily available for you to get previously. Like, for instance, what made this quest super easy for some is the fact that they had Polaris. Polaris is no longer obtainable. So, like, none of those other games use non existent items, right? And on top of that, none of them make it a super high grind or tedious high grind for a limited item or a limited quest. They make sure that it is a well-rounded, balanced grind that can be done easily within the time frame of those who do not have whatever that somebody else might not have, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No,
So,
it is.
where in this game, there is none of that. There is no well-balanced anything. And I'm pretty sure when they came out with this quest, they expected everybody to wish for Polaris. And they're
Yeah, I think that was the idea. It was because it definitely seemed like they were trying to not force per se, but like definitely steer the majority of the player base, if not the entire player base, to choose Polaris for their Christmas wish. But the thing is, I wasn't expecting to need Polaris. Well, obviously, technically speaking, you don't need Polaris, but essentially need Polaris to complete a fucking quest. Because, like you said, Polaris is no longer readily available for people to just go and get.
right. And then to make the quest limited.
Yeah, I think
And who would want to really waste? I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, right, we were listening to so many people sitting there going, "Well, Polaris is the best rod. Polaris's multiplier is the best." But in reality, like I told so many people too, when they actually stopped and listened, they're like, oh, wait, well, you have a point. There is nothing that in my mind, that said we're going to need Serene again because we used it for the first half. So that was a big trigger of, oh, we have this. There was also nothing in the beginning stating like, okay, if we do need Serene, that we can't trade, right? Now, again, this goes back to what I've said before, be careful what you wish for, because sometimes it'll make things more difficult. And while, yes, I did absolutely argue the fact of that they do need to make things where in these type of quests that you have to do them yourself, so we can kind of eliminate the
Yeah.
the majority of the people running around begging for shit and having it handed to them on a silver platter, which
Yeah.
I am thankful and grateful that they did. Now with this particular item though, I think they should have swapped Serene out with the Nova whatever, something else, because again that rod is obtainable still today.
Yeah.
They could go get it if they chose to. They had time to go get it if they chose to, where again Polaris is not available. So locking that one where it's untradeable is stupid, and I think the Serene string is just as on the same par with the Nova resin, right? So they could have swapped Nova resin for not being tradable, rather than the Serene string.
Yeah, because I mean, really, anybody can get. I mean, if you have cerulean, which is
Again,
fairly
obtainable.
easily got, yeah,
It's still obtainable. So even if you don't have Cerulean, you can go get Cerulean. You can't go get Polaris. But so again, but I did wish for that, and I'm super happy to see that they did implement that. That there are parts of the quest that have to be done by you solely. But again, making something that is not readily available for people to get part of the quest in a limited manner is not normally seen, especially when it's in a very, very high grind situation. I just missed that call. I'll call back. So there is that. But then on top of that, like, this quest alone is already, I mean, besides super fucking grindy, you are reliant on praying to God that the ethereal dragon spawns. That's only a 2% chance as well. Just like it, with
which
using
they did
Duskwire.
sort of help with that by putting in
Making totems. Right. And then the bloop fish, I mean, I've heard several people with the bloop, which I do have bloop whistles. I have not personally, with my character, seen it in the shops. And you guys grinded how long last night and didn't get a single one out of anglers. It's a very low chance.
4 different bloop whistles, I think. 3 or 4. And every single one of them were baby bloops.
Yeah, all of them were baby bloops. But even with that out of the anglers, y'all didn't get one. So it's a very low chance to come out of the anglers. On top of that, why is his screen black? What is he doing? Oh, it's already 5 o'clock.
I got I got 3 shark whistles and never got a fucking bloop whistle.
Right.
I don't know what the chances for shark whistles are, but I would think that
they're
they weren't that high.
1.06, I think, or 1.60. Somewhere right around in that range. Hello, Indie Lava. So yeah, it's a very, again, those 3 things are extremely hard to get with, again, something that's supposed to be limited, and yet we still have yet not gotten a date on when this thing is going bye-bye. Now, there's 2 dates I have heard. I've heard the 10th and I've heard the 17th. Well, again, there is no clear date yet that's been announced, so is it or is it not? Nobody fucking knows. And there's no timer on it, so there is that as well.
Where did I'm gonna call it a rumor that it's gonna be limited come from?
So apparently, it's come from several different people. We have seen it in the questions in the Discord, but I've heard it from a few different people out of here that stated that Nick said it right after the update when Asterisk Wish got implemented, that he put it over the, your screen, the announcements when he was still talking in game that it will be limited. And then also, quote unquote, Carbon has said it apparently in one of his videos. Somebody had let me know about that. But like I said, even though I do know Carbon gets information and there's a weird whatever going on between Carbon and Nate has personally messaged him about reminding people that there was a secret quest of Merlin's going on that people had forgotten about initially when it had dropped. That is not, to me, reliable information, because you would stop to think that the devs' announcements would be truly reliable, and I have yet to see until this time them not actually announce when something is limited. And even if they supposedly said it during the AA of that update, I was not here for that.
There's not an announcement in the Discord.
There is no exactly. There's no announcement in the Discord, and there is no announcement during that in that actual update tab. And usually, 9 times out of 10, you can always read back. Well, from the ones that are still there. And it will always say limited. So they usually state when something is limited. And we also had this update a couple weeks ago that any limited time quest will have a timer on it, just like they did with the silly rod. Even the clown had the 13-day timer on it. There is nothing indicating a timer. So there's multiple things, though, stating that it is supposedly limited, but there is nothing coming from the devs, which to me, if it really truly is extremely unprofessional, irresponsible, and just giving news to your specific beloved streamer is, again, unprofessional and a jackass move when the rest of your community looks to you and your updates for your information that you are not reliably giving.
Yeah, because
not everybody watches every streamer.
No, not everybody watches every streamer. So,
or YouTuber. Or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what to take of that. And that's why when I first got asked, I stated no, because there was no timer. Because I'm going off of what they have said previously and the updates that came out with the timer on the quest logbook, and looking through their Discord updates and change logs and all of that during the updates. There is nothing indicating in that situation that it is limited. But I have had other information come out again from random Joe Blows, so I don't know. It's a confusing situation. And again, if it is limited to when? I've got several different dates I've heard. When is it truly going to end? Like, but going back to what I was saying a second ago too, like, and no real, and I'm gonna say real game here or studio would set up the grind like this on something that isn't obtainable for a limited time quest. Limited time quests are usually set to be just a hair bit easier, kind of like, I mean, their Fishmas and everything else was easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? So they clearly have a habit of making their limited time things anticlimactic, but you also at least get a real time of when that limited item is going away, where there isn't one on this. But again, going back to Polaris is not obtainable. That item specifically should have been tradable. They could have swapped it out with Nova Resin not being tradable. They're both within the same playing field, except, again, Cerulean is obtainable. Having said that, like, I haven't come across a game that makes something super, 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 super grindy and almost maybe not, completable with being a limited time item. And so far, every single person I know that has completed this has